And our next video, we keep the money train rolling. And our next video, speaking of money trains, yeah, we kind of spoke about this last week, AJ, about the cost of streaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I came across, so that kind of triggered me to go and read a bit more on this, because we did the figures and we added up all the base cost of all the streaming services versus cable, and we found that obviously streaming is a lot more expensive. And we're not saying anything new here, but it made me go and look into this a bit more. And I was looking on Yahoo Finance, Yahoo News, and I found this article which I think is really fascinating, called "The Streaming Gold Rush is Over." Streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and YouTube TV were supposed to save us from overpriced cable packages that drained our pockets for decades. And indeed, for a time, those platforms threw themselves at us with low prices and the ability to share accounts with friends and family. Those days are gone. As we reported right here on the Silver Screen Dudes, Netflix password crackdown. That's a thing now. Disney Plus look like they're going to follow suit, and streaming is increasingly conjuring the ghost of overpriced cable bundles. We are past the gold rush era of streaming service television, explained Gartner research director and analyst Eric Schmidt. The business models that are premised, and now this is important, AJ, listen to this. The business models that are premised on eyeballs, not revenue, are no longer viable. Sorry. What does that mean? Remember when streaming services started? The great myth that we all bought as consumers, thinking that streaming services were doing well, was based on how many people were watching a product, right? We now know that doesn't mean anything. It's not about how many people watch it, which is why the password crackdown happened, yes? It's not about eyeballs. It's about money, as it always has been. It was never about eyeballs. Let's continue. But that's important. For users, that means rising prices, more ads, crackdowns on password sharing. For companies, it means users canceling, and this is the part I'm going to talk about in a moment. For companies, it means users canceling more plans more often when they run out of shows and movies to watch. Since 2022, each of the major streaming platforms have raised rates, introduced ad-supported tiers, or begun cracking down on folks who shared passwords. Netflix kicked things off in early 2022 when it announced it was raising prices for the standard plan from $13.99 to $15.49 and increasing the cost of its premium plan up to $20. It also introduced a $6.99 ad-supported plan and more recently killed its $9.99 basic plan. The company also began requiring users who share accounts with people outside of their households to pay $7.99 for access. Disney Plus followed Netflix's lead, first by introducing an ad-supported tier of $7.99 and raising the price of its ad-free tier from $7.99 to $10.99 in 2022. And this month, the company said it's further increased. Anyway, we reported on this last week. Here's what I'd like to get into. Now, we talked about eyeballs, right? Now, streaming had a huge peak during the pandemic, of course, because obviously people couldn't go to TV, cinemas, people were stuck at home. Of course, that was going to increase, right? Now the password crackdown has happened and we've got all these different tiers, yeah? Now, as someone, you know this, one of the jobs I have is managing a streaming service for a platform. One of the biggest killers in the streaming industry, which I have to deal with on a daily basis, and these guys like Netflix and Disney Plus have to deal with on an even higher level, right? Churn. What does churn mean? Churn means people who tune in, watch what they want to watch, and then leave, right? Now, because the prices used to be so low, let me actually go vertical for this. Because streaming service prices used to be low, you could kind of treat streaming service like people who would have a gym membership and not only go to the gym 2 or 3 times a month. The gym membership's low, you're paying 15 quid. It doesn't really matter. It's not burning a hole in my pocket. It's there when I need it. People used to treat streaming services that way. It's $6.99 or $7.99 a month. I'm only going to watch it once or twice a month, maybe more, but not necessarily. I know a lot of people who watch Netflix not that regularly at all. Now, with these increased prices, what you're going to see is you're going to see people coming in to get the show that they want. Let's say, you know, the new episode of Yellowstone is on Paramount Plus. The new season of The Boys is on Amazon. The new season of Love is Blind is on Netflix or whatever. So people will come on, they'll pay for their month, right? Then they'll leave once they've finished watching their show. Yeah? That's called churn. Well, that is going to kill the streaming services, especially if they're introducing an ad tier, right? They don't need you on for just a few days or weeks or maybe just a month. So here's what I think you're going to start seeing, and not far in the future. I genuinely believe you are going to start seeing locked in, forced 1-year contracts to avoid churn. You're going to see Disney Plus say, oh, you want to watch the new season, Mandalorian season 5 or whatever it is, or Ahsoka season 2, whenever that comes out. Sure, here's the contract for 1 year. No churn for you. And I believe they're all going to do that. We kind of discussed this last week. We said the price is going to increase. Now I see how. What do you think of this theory?
So there are several models that are available. One would be the 6 month to a year contract, and possibly they'll entice you by giving you a slightly cheaper rate by paying it for the year. Let's be honest,
Correct.
I've done it with PlayStation. It is what it is. You just pay it and you take it, and you don't have to worry about it coming out of your account every month. You just take the hit. I'll be honest, I've even done it with my TV license, paid 150 quid, and that was it. Or 180,
Sure.
whatever it was. I don't have to worry about it for the year. So these are options that are available. Another thing they may do, which could be in their benefit, is take the Amazon approach where it's the non-Prime section. So if instead of you being an actual member, you only want Ahsoka, that's fine. Pay per episode or pay per series. You know, you just pay for that series. Your membership is then somewhat irrelevant to us because we'll make money out of the show. It guarantees money for that show, and it actually might prove to be somewhat viable to say, well, we'll continue making this show because it made us X amount. It now becomes a gated. It becomes pay-per-view essentially.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is something you mentioned before, is where these streaming companies realize that, you know, there is strength in numbers. So it
Bundle.
means scratching your enemies back, and you bundle it, and it becomes that. You know, I'm an O2 member. I know you are as well. I'm sure you keep getting that text. Get 6 months worth of Disney Plus free, and it's like, I've already got an established account. How are you going to work this for me? I don't know if it does. So you can see the desperation in there from these companies already. It's just a case of what I always say: do better. I need to see these companies do better, because these price hikes will, you know, I said it last week, and you've come onto it again. The whole churning part is that you come for what you want, you leave for the rest. Because as much as I'm watching Friends, I don't need to watch Friends. You know, it's done. Top Boy season 4 maybe is a different story. Like, I need to
Yes.
see how it ends, and this is
Yes.
where I can be in and out of the game. And this is what it's going to be. Yes, there are evergreen stuff, but you can find it elsewhere, and it becomes a thing. If I'm going to get adverts on my streaming platforms, I might as well just go back to ITV.
Well, what do you think about the streaming services doing this year-long thing I'm predicting?
It's a possibility. As I said, I see it happening in the sense that you will give customers a cheaper price for that one-off down payment. If you just said it's a 1-year contract, people just back off. They're like, no, I'm only here for that, and what? And then I've got to renew it because season 2 of that's coming. Whereas if you give a 6-month contract and be like, well, it's $12.99 here, but you could get it for the awesome price of £10 a month, just that $2.99 difference makes me say, well, you know what? Ooh, well, maybe. What's a tenner? You know, okay, if I just do it, pay it off once, it comes out of the paycheck, I don't have to worry about it again. It's that weird balance of what you really want to go for and how it really works. It's not impossible though.
It just makes you wonder how many suckers are going to be duped into paying 1-year contracts across multiple streaming services, because it's already more than cable. That I guarantee is going to be more than cable.
What I want though is you very, very much need to be the lockdown on piracy is going to have to become insane. because people will find ways to watch what they want to watch. And that's when these platforms do start to crash. If you could do it for TV, you can definitely do it for Netflix.
3 words: in the zone. You know who I mean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
He
yeah.
on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Not going to drop your name, but you know who you are. I know you're watching. Love, bro.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what you guys have to think. This dark future, this dark potential future of streaming. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a year? Do you think it's going to be bundling? Let me know what you think, guys.